Okay everybody, what we have today is a way to remove household odors using electricity. Now to start off with, we have these Tech Bean ozone generators. Now you can pick these up for a few dollars on Amazon.com. I'm going to have the link to that down in the description. And internally they're slightly interesting. They have a control board here with an LED, bicolor LED that tells you what mode they're running in. And the thing about these though is they're powered by USB, and they don't come with a power supply. Or you could also optionally run it from batteries, but I like to have it plugged in because I run them most of the time. So then the control board switches the high voltage supply on and off, and that's a potted module, so I can't really show you anything with that because it's encased in plastic. I can show you the Corona, what they call the Corona, that's underneath this cover. This comes off for cleaning, and it has a sharp electrode in the middle. That's technically what it's called, and then it has just a flat piece here for the other terminal. And it's just basically a high voltage, high frequency power supply. And the little Corona, the electrical Corona, will form around that center sharp electrode there. And it tries to arc to the flat part here, but it's a little bit too far. So that Corona is actually what generates the ozone. And the control is actually run by this here. This is a microcontroller. If you look here, it actually says what it is when I took it out, even though the microcontroller itself has no markings on it at all. And it's an SN8P25011. And I looked that up, and it's actually a Chinese microcontroller, funny brand. So, but unfortunately, it's a one-time program microcontroller, and the code, I don't have a programmer for these, so unfortunately I couldn't get the code off of it, and it wouldn't matter anyway because they don't make a version that has flash memory in it so you could reprogram it. So unfortunately, and I don't like the way it works because it'll only run for about, in the continuous mode it'll only run for about 4 hours, and in the switched mode it'll only run for about 11 hours, and I want it to run continuously. So eventually I plan on having some code up on GitHub because this is actually pin compatible with a PIC 12. So I'll eventually plan on having some code up on GitHub. When that's ready, I'll have it posted in the description too, a link to that. So now these are just for small areas. This will only work like in a closet, or if your odor's not too bad, it'll work in some larger rooms. Now if you have a larger area or your odor is pretty strong, you're going to need one of these. This particular one is a Living Air 880 ozone generator, and these will cover a larger area, probably a living room size, or I use this one actually in my basement. It's a pretty good sized basement, so it works pretty well. Now the principle of operation on this one in particular is actually really simple. I was surprised when I took it apart. All it is just a high voltage transformer. It's very similar to a neon sign transformer if you're familiar with those. It just generates a high voltage, in this case 7 kilovolts, and the short circuit current is just shy of 8 milliamps. And it goes to this little device here, and all this is just a glass plate with 2 stainless steel meshes, one on either side, and there's like a bead of almost like a hot glue or a silicone around the edges to prevent Corona from breaking out on these sharp points. It's kind of like a glass plate capacitor, and the Corona forms around these wires. It's really simple, and actually you can make one of these with a neon sign transformer and some really thin glass, like picture frame glass, but this glass is even thinner. I'm not sure where you could find this type of glass. It's probably available online through a specialty supply. And the mesh size, I'm not exactly sure. I didn't measure it, but it's a fairly coarse mesh. And the other part is just this fan to blow air across it and get the air moving. Now this circuit board over here on the right, I'm actually not too sure what this does. It has a higher frequency transformer here, and it's just hooked up to this fan grill, and it has a little neon bulb against it, and that's just like, it just glows faintly. It doesn't generate any corona, it doesn't generate any ozone, and I tried drawing an arc from this, and it doesn't have any type of sensor to sense ozone, and so I'm not really sure what its purpose is. Maybe just to look fancy. I really don't know. Now for control, there's a knob on the front. There's two knobs on the front actually. This one sets the strength of the ozone, and this one sets your fan speed. And the bottom one down, this one down here that adjusts the ozone, all it is a really small variac or rheostat, and it just limits the amount of voltage into this transformer. And the fan speed is controlled through a triac circuit, I believe, because this is a 120 volt fan motor here. And there's some other electronics on here that don't have to do with this thing. And it's like a little card that plugs in here. I'm not going to unplug it right now, but it has a little sensor back here. And it senses the amount of ozone in the air, so it'll turn on and off automatically. But this tends to get plugged up with dirt and stuff, and it doesn't really work all that well. I just leave it running for about like 4 or 5 hours, and then I shut it off. Now one other thing about this is that I also want to mention, ozone will only work with organic odors, like pet odors or mold odors. It'll even kill mold spores that are in the air. And it won't work on other odors like, well, it'll work on gasoline because gasoline is an organic molecule, but it won't work on other things like chemicals and things like that, certain chemicals that produce odors, unless they're petroleum based. And even then, it tends to not work well. You need to remove the source of your odor for this to really be effective. So that is how to remove odors from your home using electricity. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.